Hey everybody, welcome back to Lifting the Rock, episode 2. I'm Jimmy with the sports portion of the show. Got a whole lot of stuff to talk about today. The thing we're going to start off with is the NHL playoffs. Being a Red Wings fan, I'm not too excited about what's going on right now. They're down 3-1 to Nashville and on their way to Nashville for Game 6. Looking like Red Wings season's going to be over. Upsets me a little bit, but it is what it is. A lot of other exciting stuff going on in the NHL right now. You've got a couple of series that went away that nobody really thought they were going to go. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and Los Angeles and Vancouver. Philadelphia and Los Angeles, most people thought they were going to get swept. Both of them are up 3-1 right now against what I've seen were a lot of people's picks to play in the Stanley Cup Finals in Pittsburgh and Vancouver. So that would shake the playoffs up big time and be really shocking. Another thing is baseball back and better than ever. The Tigers are looking pretty good right now. They struggled a little bit against Chicago in Chicago. That's not to be taken lightly, but at the same time, I mean, the White Sox are a good team. Let's not kid ourselves here. Tigers aren't going to go 162-0, and Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder aren't going to hit a home run every time they come to the plate. They play all 162 for a reason, and I'm still very confident that in September you'll see the Tigers lifting the second. No doubt in my mind. Another thing that's going on right now, people are preparing for the NFL draft. A lot of interesting things going on with the draft. The Lions, I'm not really sure where they're going to go this year. I mean, you know that they could always use some help on the offensive line and in the secondary on the defensive side of the ball. I would assume that they're going to go in that direction, but I haven't really heard any names yet of guys that they're really interested in, with potential suspensions coming from the commissioner for the drug usage, how some of the players have been arrested recently, along with, just aging veterans. You never know. And of course, it is the Lions. That receiver is always an option. Another thing is the Indianapolis Colts, who have the first pick in the draft, have more or less come out and announced that they're going to be taking Stanford quarterback Andrew Luck with the first pick. That's not a surprise to anybody. Pretty much everyone has been assuming that that was the direction they were going to go in for months. I mean, back even to September, people knew that whoever got the first pick was going to go with Luck. He's supposedly head and shoulders the best player in the draft, NFL ready to step in and be the starting quarterback today. So hopefully that works out for them. NBA playoffs are shaking up, getting ready to go. The regular season's wrapping up in the next couple of days here. Teams are still fighting for seed. We don't need to worry about the Pistons. We all know this. They have a lot of work to do, and it starts, unfortunately, with cleaning house in the front office, I think. I think Joe Dumars has been good, but I think he's got to go. They've drafted some good young talent in Brandon Knight and Greg Monroe in the last couple of years, but the pieces that he's putting around them don't seem to fit together, and I think we're going to need to do a little bit of rebuilding. Back to the playoffs, there's a whole lot of teams that could make a case to be the champions this year. My personal pick is Oklahoma City. They've got the best record in the West, or they're fighting for it with San Antonio, but I think they'll get it. Kevin Durant has made his case as the best player in the world this year. I don't think that's even debatable anymore. LeBron fans would make a case for him, but when defenses have to part the Red Sea every time you drive to the lane, I don't think that makes you the best player in the world. Kevin Durant does it all, and he plays defense, not just block shots off the backboard for the highlight on ESPN. So my Thunder are the pick to take the NBA championship. I'm assuming that they will beat the Heat in the NBA Finals. Another interesting story is Bobby Petrino, the head football coach at Arkansas, or I should say the former head football coach at the University of Arkansas. He was relieved of his position recently because it was found out that he was having an affair with a 25-year-old intern who happened to be engaged with someone that was involved in the athletic department. If he was writing a book on how to lose your job at an SEC school, I think he would sell pretty well. That is about the worst thing that you can do besides something to a player. I mean, for Arkansas. And he hired her in as part of the program, and things got interesting, to say the least. Lo and behold, they hit a motorcycle accident, and he was fired. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is Jimmy with the Resport.
Welcome to STFU and Listen. I'm your host, Josh, and this is the second episode of Lifting the Rock. The big thing right now that everybody's talking about is the Tupac hologram, which was pretty cool. It was, you watch old movies, like you watch Star Wars and you see the Obi-Wan hologram, and people were like, wow, if we ever get to that kind of technology, can you imagine? And now we got Tupac Shakur as like the greatest hologram you've ever seen. It begs the question though, and people are asking, you know, is it kind of an off-color thing to be bringing back like dead people and having them perform? Like, is it kind of disrespectful to their name? Because it's not them performing. You have to remember, it's not them at all performing, and it's somebody else setting them up to do this. The technology is cool, the idea is cool. The fact that it was Tupac was the first one, you know, it's also debatable. You know, like obviously he's a great artist and world-renowned, but I mean, we're talking like we could have brought back Michael Jackson, we could have brought back the Beatles, Zeppelin, we could have brought back like Mozart, like anything. But for Coachella, the huge music festival, Tupac, it was cool. It was pretty cool, and you got to see him rap along next to Snoop. Like my opinion, when I was watching Snoop Dogg rap with him, it was almost like he kept like looking over, like this is kind of eerie, you know, because there's this full-size hologram of a dead man. Looks like a ghost. He's singing with me. And then the exit was pretty cool. Yeah, left stage is kind of like poof, big flash of white light, and he was gone. And the crowd, when he first came on stage, he kind of like rose up, and the crowd just fell silent. Most people didn't know what they were looking at. They didn't know what was going on. When he left, or when he disappeared, and finally kind of dawned on people, they seemed to really like it. The crowd appreciated it. Next, we got, we know White Stripes have officially broken up. They're not going to be making any more music together. Jack White's obviously going to be doing his other projects. He does his own solo project. He does the Dead Weather, the supergroup, and also LCD Sound System broke up. The big one for me, because it's my favorite band, is Gorillaz. They were saying that the Gorillaz were going to break up. This was a rumor going around a couple weeks ago, saying that in the last concert run they did, Jamie Hewlett and Damon Albarn were arguing and fighting and just going in different directions with the band and couldn't really come to an agreement. And one of them said at the end of the concert, one of their last shows, something about thanks, you know, for supporting us, and this might be the last time you ever see us together. So it led people to believe that they were breaking up, and you know how it is on the internet and how rumors spread, and like wildfire, that Gorillaz were done. But recent threads on the internet have said that it's a rumor. You know, Gorillaz have kind of come out and said, you know, we're not breaking up, we're taking our time apart to kind of go for our own interests so that we can get back together and make more terrific music. Gorillaz are seriously way ahead of their time. They always have been. Even back when their first self-titled album came out, it was something that nobody had heard before. It was a compilation, you know, it was before everybody in the rock business and the rap business was trying to mix together so they could get more fans. It was just a whole new kind of music, and the animations that went with it and the drawings were really cool, and it's this kind of hip new thing that, you know, nobody knew about. But Albarn, a lot of people don't know this, but Albarn is the lead singer to Blur. That song number 2 is a really popular song by them that most people know. He's going to do a lot of his things with Blur. They just announced that they're releasing like a box set that have all their albums on it and like some DVDs of their concerts, and 65 unheard tracks, 65 songs by Blur that you've never heard before, that nobody's ever heard before because they've never released them. So that's a pretty big deal. And so hopefully after Albarn is done with his Blur run, and Hewlett, I don't remember what he was doing. He was doing something else with another band or another project. But it's hopefully when they're done, they can get back together and give us another album by the Gorillaz, because that's something that I'm looking forward to, and that's something I would be happy about. Another new album that kind of recently came out is Goblin by Odd Future, with Tyler the Creator and Earl Sweatshirt and all of them. And these kids came out of nowhere. They are completely different from any other kind of hip-hop MCs or anything. They're the kind that push the envelope, definitely. A lot of their songs are about rape and murder and things that are kind of unsettling, and some people say it's overboard, some people say it's unnecessary. I personally dig some of the music. Some of it I really like. Some of it I don't care for a lot of times when they get into that really heavy like rape and screaming, and it's just, that's not for me. But I can see the appeal to it, and I can also see, like, because Tyler is like, he's a young kid, but he's one of the realest MCs out there. He's not out there singing about, oh, look at my money, look at my chain kind of thing, you know. He's singing about like his hard childhood and his dad being gone and just the music industry in general, and he's got just a mind of his own and perspective on music that he can translate through his rhymes and through his rapping, and it moves people. And I can see him being a mogul in the future. I can see him being, you know, the next Eminem or the next person that comes through that nobody was expecting, and then he just blows up. But you know, it's one of those things, like any band when they start, or any artist when they start, a lot of it's kind of raw, almost like an attention grabber. And then once the attention's on him, he can narrow his focus down to what's important in his music, and he can filter out the rape and the killing and the cop killing and all that kind of stuff that we really don't need. When he can do that, and when he gets to that point, he'll lead armies. He'll be that guy who people look up to and say, man, I wish I could be just like him when I'm older. You know, like these young MCs coming out of the hood and coming out of like anywhere, they're going to be looking for people to look up to, and he can be one of them. Also, real quick, out of Washington, there's a lot of MCs coming out of Washington. We got Logic, we got Macklemore. If you haven't heard Macklemore's song Other Side, it's something else. It's a real song that you listen to a few times, and once you get the lyrics in your head, like it's something that really moves you. But just watch out, because there's a lot of music coming out of the West. There's a lot of new rappers coming out of the West that are just kind of changing the game, and that's great thing about rap music and hip hop is that it is constantly changing. And you get these guys in here who just sing about their money and everything, and eventually like that gets old. Like not eventually, it's gotten old. And I'm glad that we're getting this new breed of like young progressive rappers that are like more. I guess if you have to put it in terms of what's like more like what you got, more like Cudi than you got like Wayne. And in my book, that's great. If the whole music industry could turn that way, that'd be great for me. So. Hey, this has been STFU and Listen. I'm your host, Josh. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, welcome back to Out of Stock. This is Charlie. I'm here to talk to you today about some movies, DVDs that are coming out this week, movies that are in theaters right now, and maybe some more upcoming movies that are coming out this summer that I'm really looking forward to and anticipated about. First off, I'm going to get into movies that are in theaters right now. Big movie that came out last week. It's doing pretty good. Cabin in the Woods. It's a Joss Whedon pick. He wrote, directed, pretty much had his hand in every aspect of this film. Great movie. Without getting too much into the details, it's one of the most original movies I've seen in a long time. Imagine kind of like an Evil Dead being released nowadays. That's kind of what it seemed like to me, with that type of effect that it had on the horror genre. The movie really is a hybrid. It's got action, horror. There's some conspiracy elements in there, comedy, obviously. It's a really great movie. Joss Whedon, if you don't know who he is, he's the creator for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series. He actually wrote the original movie script, too, that the show was based off of, Sarah Michelle Gellar. That was a really popular show. He also created the show Firefly, which ran for a little bit, more of a sci-fi genre aspect there, but that was really successful. And then the spin-off movie following Firefly after that was canceled, Serenity, and that was a really great movie. He also, interesting enough, he co-wrote the movie Toy Story. So, guy's got a lot of influences from all different horror genres. He's a real true auteur filmmaker. He can direct comedy, horror, pretty much anything, and still have his stamp on it. And I think he was a great person for this project because he made it. He's the one that he wrote it, he produced it, he did everything. It's a really great movie. I highly recommend checking it out. Like I said, it's one of the most interesting movies that I've ever seen. The formula is completely different from what you see in your typical big budget fares. Like I said, I think it's better than Zombieland, Shaun of the Dead. I'd compare it mostly to Evil Dead that came out in the 80s. And other than that, there's really no other option for good movies out in theaters right now. In that vein, to go to DVD, because you should rent some DVDs. If not going to go see a movie this week, might as well rent some DVDs. Just kill some time. The Mission Impossible 4 just came out. It's a high-budget, high-octane thriller. It's the 4th installment series that a lot of people thought you're pretty much done with after 3. There's no room to grow. They were wrong, because they brought in Brad Bird, who's from Pixar fame. He was the director from The Incredibles, Ratatouille, The Iron Giants, a lot of classics in the past 10 years. Like, a lot of people were curious how he would transition into live action movie, and I think he did great. I've seen this in theater. Actually, I've seen it in IMAX. Obviously, the experience is a little more there, but he really rejuvenated Mission Impossible 4. All the action's there. Had a lot of really cool new sequences and new action sequences. Like I said, it's really worth checking it out. I might go out and buy it, but I mean, it's definitely worth the rent. Anyways, another movie, staying away from this, a little different, but another movie that's coming out is Shame. This one's directed by Steve McQueen, famous actor and director. It's a great movie. I really liked it. Michael Fassbender is the lead character. He is really great in the movie. Michael Fassbender, you might know him from the story just recently in X-Men, the First Class. He played Magneto. Really great up-and-coming actor. If you're filming a new movie and you're trying to get a new actor, Michael Fassbender's the guy that everybody wants in. Those are 2 really good movies that if you're not going to go to the movies and see Cabin in the Woods this weekend, check out one of those 2 on DVD. Upcoming movies, though. It's the superhero summer. Really great. A lot of great superhero movies coming out. Spider-Man. It's the new Amazing Spider-Man. That looks really good. It's shot in IMAX. Really good sequences of getting from Spider-Man's perspective as he's going across the city. Ironically, it's directed by Mark Webb. His name's Mark Webb, obviously. Ironically. But he was a director on 500 Days of Summer. If you haven't seen that, it's a great movie. You should check it out. But it's a completely different formula for a movie. 500 Days of Summer is a romantic comedy. and now he's getting into superhero action movies. It looks like he's going to do well. I think he's a great director. He's going to put his visual stamp on anything he does. I'm really looking forward to that movie. Got a different villain. Gwen Stacy is the romantic role instead of your common Mary Jane Watson. It looks good. From what I've seen, it looks really good. Another new movie coming out, Dark Knight Rises. Obviously, everyone knows about Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan directed The Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and this is the third one in the trilogy because I don't think he's doing any more after this. All shot in IMAX. He refuses to shoot anything in 3D, which I respect. It looks good. Christopher Nolan's track record is unmatched. It's every movie he's put out is a great film. Another superhero movie coming out though, Avengers, is coming out, and I talked about this last time. But I seen a new trailer with the Hulk in it, and he's there smashing stuff up. Thor's there. All the cast is great in this movie, and I really am looking forward to it because comic book nerd myself. And it just looks good. You know, you got Hulk, Thor's there. I'm willing to go along for the ride on this one. Even if it's in 3D, I'm still willing to sit through the 3D. And as long as I get to see Hulk smash stuff and some Robert Downey Jr. spewing off some Tony Stark lines, I'm there. Count me in opening night. So this has been Not in 3D with Charlie Drake. Thanks for watching.
Hello, welcome back to Hey, It's Video Games. I'm Kyle Cruzen, and we have a couple interesting things to talk about today, mostly in video game news. First of all, Sony has just announced on their PlayStation blog that the new God of War will be titled God of War Ascension. Now, it has also been noted that this game is actually a prequel to 1, 2, and 3, and will mostly tell a story of how Kratos lived his life before he became the Ghost of Sparta. Kind of interesting. They've also noted that more information will be coming April 30th. So check that out. Secondly, and this is a pretty big deal for me, basically in a bad way, that a new Call of Duty Black Ops 2 has been hinted with a accidental release of a poster online. And it basically says on the poster that the game will come out on May 2nd, 2012. Now, it hasn't been confirmed if it's the release date of the game or if it's the release date of a trailer. We're still not really sure. My thing is that, do we really need a second Black Ops game? Black Ops, as you know, did really well, and then Modern Warfare 3 came out, and apparently they lost a lot of sales after that game came out, after the first couple months. Do we really need more zombies? That's my kind of question. Kind of getting old, in my opinion. I don't know. Next up, we have a pretty cool thing that IGN just came out with recently, which is a interactive Skyrim app for your iPad. Basically, it's a free download. It comes with an interactive map where you can view videos. It's got a wiki guide on there and plenty more content for all you Elder Scrolls fanatics out there. A not so great thing though is that I have an Android and I can't get it. So that's kind of disappointing. Kind of wish that they fell into the other part of the spectrum there. Alright, next up, I'm going to talk about a game that you really do not want to miss. This is worth, I'm telling you, the $60 to pick up this game. It's available for 360, PS3, and I believe computer. It's Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Now, this game came out a few months ago. Basically, this game did a great job of taking all the greatest elements of RPG games that we've seen recently, primarily Dragon Age, games like Skyrim, stuff like that, and really making a fun, action-oriented, but at the same time, story-oriented RPG game. Now, this game has a very quick, fluent action gameplay system with a couple really interesting mechanics, primarily magic that is very similar to games like Fable. Also, a very similar to MMO-style side quest system. The side quests are very interesting. You feel like you're actually doing stuff that's relevant to the main story, and you don't really feel like you're losing track or kind of getting off the beaten path for the game. This is one that you're going to spend countless hours. The map in the game is massive, and you're going to be discovering new places constantly. Something else I'd like to add, if you're like me and you loved playing, if I can find it, Batman Arkham City, I would definitely be writing some fan mail to Rocksteady that they should definitely make a new one. I would really like that. I don't know if anybody else is kind of like on my, on the same page as me, but Batman Arkham City was definitely a fun game. Now, I have heard that the new Amazing Spider-Man video game has taken a lot of elements from the Arkham Asylum and Arkham City games. Now, that being said, I might actually pick up the Spider-Man game. I can't remember the last time I played a good Spider-Man game besides Spider-Man 2 that was based off the movie a couple years ago. Now, that was a fun game. I was like Grand Theft Auto meets Spider-Man. Running around as Spider-Man is a cool thing, you know what I'm saying, on the streets. I just kind of hope that they take, the good elements of the Batman games and add them to that new Spider-Man game. Because, as you all know, well, if you don't know, you should definitely play the games. I would definitely recommend playing Arkham Asylum first and then Arkham City. But Batman Arkham Asylum is basically a mixture of mechanics from games like Zelda and Metal Gear Solid meets Batman. It's pretty interesting, actually. Going into a room, you know, as Batman with all these different enemies and things like that, instead of running in there and just button mashing your way through it, you go into a room with a problem and you think, well, I'm Batman, so what do I do? And it's rare that you actually get a game where you feel that connected with the character and how he's gonna move his way through a situation. So that's pretty interesting. Now, like I was saying, if they actually do that with this new Spider-Man game, I would definitely say it's worth picking up. If not, it's just going to be another, you know, superhero flop game. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Lastly, I would like to talk about BioWare. BioWare has just confirmed not too long ago in late March that they will be releasing more content for, you know, to wrap up more the ending of Mass Effect 3. Although the ending was a bit disappointing, it is pretty rare for a developer like that to re-release or include more content solely for the purpose of pleasing fans. So far, the games have been doing really successful. The ending was disappointing, however, and BioWare received a lot of really terrible feedback from their audience. And like I said, it's pretty rare for a developer just to fix something like that in a game if it goes a little south and re-release it. So I guess all I'm saying is if you're a Mass Effect 3 fan, you should be pretty fortunate that they are even considering that. It was also stated that more information regarding that will be available in April. It's April, and I still haven't heard anything, but I believe we can expect more content from them later in the year. And that wraps up our show today. Hey, it's Video Games. I am Kyle Cruzen, and see you later.